Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the League Zero community. My name is Corbs, and I will be joining you once again as the Novice Countdown host. This season, however, I am joined by my partner, Peripheral Figure.
Yeah, that's me, Peripheral,
Yep.
the co-host.
Yeah, so he's a player for Geometric. You'll be hearing his voice pretty much throughout the entire season. First guest on my top right. We have the main support player for Wisdom Academy, Golden Apple Guy, or just Gag for short.
Hello.
And on my right, or the bottom right, we have a Flex DPS on the side of Rare Redemption and Jer_OW.
Hello.
All right. Well, anyways, are you all excited for this season to get underway?
Absolutely not. I
Oh, a little
wish the
bit.
preseason would go on forever. Just keep screaming.
Yeah.
Just in a constant state of limbo.
Yeah, I mean that's completely understandable, but
That wasn't what you were expecting, was it?
yeah. Anyways, so first of all, I just want to hear some of your guys' input. So, what is so? Let's start with a peripheral figure, and then just go down from there. So, peripheral. Which, other than your team, of course, which team are you kind of like? Oh, this team is actually pretty good. They'll definitely be a contender this year.
Yeah, I think Fortunate Sons and Rio are the main teams I'm looking out for. Fortunate Sons have a very stacked team. They have obviously the tank line from last season of Red Knight and Maverick, which I think has been proven to be very solid. They
Yeah,
have a support line that's quite competent in their own right with Octo and Touch, who's apparently a top 500 Lucio Surf player. And their DPS line as well is very solid and should be able to hold their own.
yeah.
And then, yeah, with Rio, same thing, although I do think they'll have a few questions with regards to like flexibility and the off-tank position in particular, because I want to see how they work in Juicebox and TIE Fighter, as Juicebox is suspended, and outside of that, I don't really know how it's going to work with them.
Yeah, from what I know, TIE Fighter is actually pretty capable on off tank. I actually have played with him before on the team that shall not be named. But long story short, from what I've seen, he's actually really really good, and he actually could thrive in this division, in my opinion. One team that you did not mention was Wisdom Academy. Why was that?
Yeah, see, Wisdom, I don't know, Wisdom's really interesting to me, mainly because I feel they have a few holes that really stand out. Like, they do have insanely talented players. They have Spongy Cheese, who we know is kind of a god. They have Gag, who's very solid. They have Rockcrafts, who I think can put in work on both off-tank and DPS. But my main questions for them lie in Peabok, who really wasn't that impressive in my mind in Pugs. His comms were really weak, I think, and off of Ryan, his mechanics weren't amazing either. And in a similar vein, Sergeant Pepper, he seemed like a dependable player, but really nothing more in my eyes. And then the same kind of applies to Skylar with their flex support. But they do have Titanic to fill for Skylar, so that could be less of an issue.
Yeah, I agree. Titanic. I was watching Titanic on the flex support, and it actually it's actually really good. He was a DPS player, and then he's like, hey, let me just try out flex support, and turns out his flex support's pretty good too. Go figure. Anyways, Gag, same question to you. Which two teams, other than your own, of course, are you like? They're actually pretty good, and they can be contenders.
Well, Peripheral sort of stole my thunder with Fortunate Sons and Rio. During the draft, I was very impressed with the tanks and the DPS from Fortunate Sons. And of course, Octo. I played a lot of Pugs, and Octo seemed like one of the best flex supports in that pool. But you didn't mention when I was playing Pugs, I saw Puda Bear just really pop off a lot, and he's on Rio. So I think those two teams mainly are the ones I'm looking out for.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And then, well, you didn't mention Geo, so what's up with Geo? What's wrong with him?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've not seen too many of them before. Of course, I've met Flintbloods, but not too much more than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's That applies
Yeah,
to a lot of people.
yeah. Geo's kind of more. Geo is more or less a team of relatively unknowns who really do have to prove themselves compared to other teams who have a lot of veterans like Fortunate Sons and Rio and Wisdom, for example, as well. And honestly, that could either be an advantage because a you don't know who they are. You probably have never seen them play too much, or b it'll be like, oh gee, this will probably be their first team experience where it's like, hey, what do I do? Because it's definitely
SBC strats.
SBC. Oh, good God. But yeah. Anyways, Jer, same question with you.
Okay.
95%, 99% sure you're gonna say Wisdom and Fortunate Sons.
Well, you're actually 1% wrong, actually. I don't really know who is gonna be more dominant than a Rio Redemption. Because,
Wait
okay,
a minute.
think with this way, right? Rio, we got all these, like, good players. I can't really name them right now because I'm tired. But, so Wisdom, the only, like, actual person I remember is Spongy Cheese and Titanic. That's because I've played with them. I have a bad memory. So, I think, I mean, they'll be alright, I guess. Like, they won't be amazing, like, best team in the world, but they'll be there somewhere. They got Spongy, though, so he's probably gonna hold them back. Geo, I don't really, like, know any of the players. I only know their coaching staff. Yeah, and say,
Yeah, I'll be
Uh,
honest with you. Geo's coaching staff has Geo's coaching staff has to do a phenomenal job here. That's pretty much from what I've seen. Like they've actually been, from what I've heard, actually they've been trying out different strats. So maybe we need to update all the tier lists because they might be moving to some players where they're like at new positions, for example. So there's that.
Unfortunate Sons. I mean, I know, like, their staff, and I really only know the staff for these teams because I used to play with them. But I think they'll be pretty good as well. They have, like, good main tank and off tank. I mean, they have a good off tank.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
They have a good off tank
They have-
forehead.
But yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the power rankings real quick. So, for me, I actually have Fortunate Sons rated as the best team. Wisdom is number 2, Rio as number 3, and Geo as number 4. So, the reasoning for this: Fortunate Sons. First of all, their tank and support line are insane. Because they literally picked up the same tank line that won Inter last season on Mob Mentality, where they had Maverick and Red Knight pretty much, and Silent Sword, but like, I'm not sure if he's in the league anymore, but either way, they have 2 of those 3 pieces that won the championship, which is insane. And the fact that they're playing down a division is absurd as well. Wisdom, I have them number 2 because their coaching is actually really, really solid from what I've seen. I know Navito and Jeff, and like I was mentioning earlier, they're normally pretty hard on you, but it works for them because they're always consistently either number 2 or number 1. And last season they won the championship, so they are definitely looking for that repeat. Number 3, Real Redemption. Their team is really solid. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is their flex support. I'm not 100% sure on that, but like, I just see all 3 of the teams that have in my opinion, all 3 of the teams actually have a better flex support than Rio right now. Other than that, or excuse me, yeah, all 3 of them. Other than that, Rio could be very scary if they get the ball rolling and they get the correct, proper coaching. And number 4, we got Geometric. The thing is, here's what I have to say. There has to be a team at the bottom. Unfortunately, Geo was that team. And so, because, I mean, honestly, I'm not 100% sure on their players, but they could be very, very scary. Because I personally know I know their support line, and their support line could be very, very good here if they're able to play. And then Peripheral, you want to give your power rankings real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fortunate Sons is probably just the most solid team overall. For obvious reasons, I think they have a very stacked team, but I do think they could be in a situation sort of similar to Quokka Queens were in Flux Season 2, where they're kind of locked into playing like Brawl, due to the flexibility of their tanks, or rather the lack thereof. But I think, yeah, obviously they do have Touch, who is an excellent Lucio player, and they do have Red Knight, who's a great main tank. So if they do end up being locked into that Brawl style, they will be very, very good at it. In second, I do have Rio, mainly for similar reasons. They're just a very stacked team overall. But yeah, like you said, Corbs, I do have questions about their flex support position. I do know they picked up Trigger Happy, who was very good in Flux, but I heard his schedule isn't exactly the best for which could hurt his team a decent bit. In third, I have my own team, Geo, because I feel Geometric has probably the highest about the highest potential of any team here. But obviously, we do have a lot of unknowns. We do have a lot of rookies, and so it takes a lot of work to bring those players together into a formidable force. But I do think over the season we will be able to do that. And last, I have Wisdom. Similarly to Corbs, yeah, there has to be a team at the bottom, and Wisdom is just, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a similar situation with Geo, where there's a lot of unknowns, but the difference between the two teams is that I feel Wisdom, like the unknowns Wisdom don't quite like have the potential in my eyes, especially P-Bach, where he's just really not that amazing off of Rhine. And again, his comms were kind of lacking, which can really hurt you as a main tank. So like, it's gonna take a lot to improve some of those players, but I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Wisdom. They've done so in the past, so it's very possible that they do so again.
Yes. Yeah, and anyways, let's hear the players' thoughts. So, first of all, let's start with Gag. Gag, what are your thoughts about our tier list and pretty much our reasoning, I guess you can say?
Well, I agree that Fortune Sons is a very strong roster, and that Rio is probably close behind them. But I don't agree, of course, with my team being at the bottom, because of course my team's the best team. How could it not be?
Exactly. That's a good mindset to have.
Fair.
Yeah. Peripheral, earlier, when you were talking about, at the beginning, you said that Pepper wasn't the best choice, you said? Was that right?
I think exactly what I said was that he's just a dependable option and nothing more. And I think with how flex DPS is, with how stacked it is, that's kind of, I don't know if that's really the best option you could go for, like just dependability over being like more of an explosive player. But I could be proven wrong.
I mean, Pepper, at least in scrims, has proven that he can be a bit of a leader. Like, he contributes a lot to the comms and is good at like fight planning and all that. And I think that's something that's not really tangible if you like from the outside. I think that's really valuable for this team, for our team. And like Rockcrafts, what a amazing player, Spongy as well. I think those three alone, regardless of everyone else, including me, they can really help the team find success. So I don't agree that Wisdom's like that low.
Yeah, and I was about to say, you just mentioned Rockcrafts. So the thing with Rockcrafts is, I think he is a great player. The problem is he can sometimes tilt, and usually if he tilts, then that's gonna be a very uphill battle. Trust me, I've been on teams with tilts, and I've actually tilted an entire team one time. So.
Geo guest too.
Season 2 Geo, good memories. Anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's one thing I'd say definitely to look out for, because because I think Rock is a great player. If he tilts though, that's gonna be a very, very dependable player, I guess you can say. And
He also has an issue of not waking up for scrims sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's me in Exodus
Oh boy,
season 1.
yeah.
All right, and Jer, thoughts?
All right, so the tier list is like hard to make because I feel like all the teams are fairly like equal, like just from the roster standpoint. I will, however, replace Fortunate Sons with Rio. Just swap that around, make a slight movement in the tiers and stuff. And because I have no reasoning. It's just my team, and I think we're amazing. So,
Fair enough.
I mean, we are, but yeah, we're crazy. We're problems. Feel like
You
like
have all problems.
I'm a problem. Okay, so like it's really hard to make this tier list because I know like 2 players on each team, and everyone was like, "Oh, I kind of remember that guy. Oh yeah, he was all right." Like in Pugs, there weren't any like outstanding players. Like, "Oh, I know that guy. I know that guy." I'm like, "Oh, I think I know that guy."
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. The only outstanding players I've really seen I've already, I mean, gotten captains, and then
Yeah.
and obviously it was the first 2 picks or first 2 rounds
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
or
I
all
knew, I remember 2 good hit scans, and one of them was a captain.
exactly, and
Yeah, I mean,
that's yeah.
I think there were a few hit scans that kind of showed up really late to Pugs, and didn't. I don't think as many people saw them for that reason, but I do think those players can show up in matches.
Yeah. Anyways, I forgot to mention the analysts and the community rankings. Jerry, you're gonna love this. Both the analysts and community rankings have Rio at number 1.
I knew.
Both of them have Fortunate Sons at number 2. The analysts have Geo at number 3 compared to the community that has Wisdom at number 3. And the analysts have Wisdom at 4, community Geo at 4. And so, very interesting that the same teams are the top 2. I guess they're the thing. Yeah, I mean the thing I understand with Rio is I've seen their coaching staff. Their coaching staff is actually really hot. Seen as one of the strong points for the team because they have coaches that have scrimmed tier 3, even tier 2, with infected, and yeah. Well, wait, I can't. I mean, I can't really check right now because that'll mess up the recording. But I know. Clear has some good friends who have had a lot of experience in team environments higher up as well. And so I'm very interested to see how they will actually coach a team full of like plat peaks, I guess you can say. So it'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question in my mind of whether they're like there to actually coach and help those players improve, or whether they're just there to hang out with their buddy Clear. And I mean, depending on
Goal
depending on
Academy.
that, I think we could see Rio probably just dominate most teams.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Jer, you like those rankings, but Golden Apple guy, what are your thoughts about the community and the analysts putting Wisdom like bottom 2?
I wouldn't put much stock in it. Like this
Yeah.
early on, before games have even started, there isn't much to go on. But I don't know. I mean, I think they're right about Fortunate Sons because they look like a really strong roster all around. I think we're gonna prove them wrong at Wisdom.
Yeah, totally. And Jer, I mean, obviously you're loving the community.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm a problem. Yeah, we're problems. Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on from there, let's go into the most important section of the countdown: the games. So first of all, we got Wisdom. We got the rivalry rematch, aka the championship rematch, in Wisdom Academy and Geometric. So Peripheral, obviously you can't really predict this game, but I have it going 3-1 in favor of Wisdom. Personally, the reasoning is, number one, Wisdom's coaching. I understand that you said Peacock earlier is definitely a liability for the team, but if they're able to consistently keep him on like Ryan, especially if they improve his Winston or Orisa, for example, then they could actually be a very, very scary team to deal with. And in terms of the analysts in the community, they're actually split on this one. Analysts have Geometric, are 57% in favor of Geometric. Community, 52% in favor of Wisdom Academy. So, very interesting to see that as well. And obviously, Golden Apple Guy is the main support for Wisdom. And I'll ask both Peripheral and Golden Apple Guy. I'll start with Peripheral real quick. What have you all been doing to prepare for, I guess you can say, the biggest rivalry in Novice?
I mean, yeah, we've really just like the first week or so we were working to build synergy mainly. The second this week we've been practicing what we really want to play, as well as improving our flexibility on other comps. And yeah, I won't give anything away in particular, but I think we'll be able to make it a hell of a match.
That's good to hear. And Golden Apple guy, same thing. What have y'all been really doing to get prepare for this rivalry?
Well, like Geometric, we've been working on synergy, seeing which roster works best, helping the comms and all that stuff. To be honest, we have not thought too much about what Geometric will do specifically, just because there's so much unknown about that team at the moment. But I believe in our coaching staff that we're trying a lot of different things, and we'll be able to adapt to whatever they pull out in the game.
Gotcha. Anyway, and then we have one player who is not going to be participating in this game, in Jer. And Jer, I want you probably have scrimmed both the teams, so what are your thoughts about him?
Okay, we've only scrimmed Geo, and I say we're doing all right, or at least I was doing all right considering my internet situation.
Canadian internet or
It's not Canadian. Yeah, it's like middle of the woods internet.
Cabin diff.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's gonna be close. Like I think at 3-2 for maybe thinking Geo seems really good right now compared to Wisdom. Wisdom
thanks.
You're welcome. You're gonna give me that $10 later, right?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Okay,
I'll throw in a brownie as well.
Make sure to cut this out of the podcast, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, cut this out. All right. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's gonna be close though. It's hard to decide for me.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so there's that for you right there. And you said it's going to be a 3-2, but if you were to, I guess you could say, pick a side, who would you choose in that match?
Geometric.
Interesting. So
Geometry. Yeah.
He knows.
exactly. So
He's got the scrim bucks.
exactly. So I have a 3-1 in favor of Wisdom, and Jer has a 3-2 in favor of Geo. So we are technically split across the board. Anyways, moving on to the next game, we have Rio Redemption versus Fortunate Sons, and this is a game that I am very much looking forward to because these teams have been rated super highly because one of them has pure talent and the other coaching. And so I have a 3-2 in favor of Fortunate Sons. Peripheral has a 3-2 in favor of Rio. The analysts have a 63% in favor of Rio. In the community, a 54% in favor of Fortunate Sons. So, first of all, why did I make the prediction that I did? So this is week 1 right here, and normally from what I've seen with week 1, having the better team overall, having better mechanical players, has really just been the number. Has been the reason why most teams have won games. So, for example, literally, there are teams that improve so much from week 1. They'll lose one game and then they'll somehow become God mode after some coaching. And so I just think because Fortunate has talent right off the gate, that's what they're gonna abuse in order to beat Rio in this matchup. And Peripheral, you have the other way, so 3-2 in favor of Rio. Well, why'd you choose that?
Yeah, my main thing is since it's week 1, yeah, like you said, Corbs, I think just the team with the higher skilled players is going to win. And while I do think that across the board, Fortunate Sons does have probably the more even lineup, I think Rio just has a few players like RQT, Puda Bear, and especially I think Gordo those three can just pop off, and I think they can probably just win the game for Rio. Mm-hmm. Especially if they do play comps where those players can thrive, with the RQT on the Echo, Pudabear on the Widow or Hanzo, which he's excelled at in Pugs. I think, yeah, those players carry potential, can just be enough to overwhelm Fortune Suns.
Yep, and we actually also have a player in this match with Jer, and so what have you all been doing to prepare for, I guess you can say, this Battle of the Titans and trying to get Rio their first win after 1.5 years?
Alright, so, well, like any team, we've been scrimming a lot, which is one thing that you should probably do as a team, do scrims. That's
Wow.
always a great idea.
That is
Yeah.
a great
Wow.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, we've
Agree
also
with
just been, we've just been chilling together as well. Like just playing games, you know.
Yeah,
Queuing for, yeah. We're just been jamming, you know.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes the most sense there because obviously you kind
Like
of
earlier
want.
today, we were making like state tier lists in the U.S.
Florida better be F tier because that state
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
mess.
yeah,
Okay.
California,
Okay,
California,
okay, and,
I live
and
here.
one
It's
of them
horrible.
it's F tier, and the other one it's S tier.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it is.
Oh
my
wow!
God.
Difference.
Anyways, moving on from that topic. Golden Apple guy, real quick. So you're obviously not playing in this match because you will be playing in the other game, Wisdom versus Geo. And all right, what are your thoughts about this match here between Fortunate Sons and the Rio Redemption?
Well, I see probably a 3-1 for Fortunate Sons, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm looking at the roster for Rio, and I'm looking at the roster for Fortunate Sons, and I believe much more in the way that the tanks and the supports of Fortunate can work together compared to the tanks of Rio and the supports of Rio. Where I'm not as high on Gordo as you guys might be, and the support line on Rio, I think, is probably one of the weaker spots of that team. So I think there might be a disconnect there, and Fortunate Sons could capitalize on that.
Yeah, definitely. And so you said a 3-1 favor in Fortunate Sons because of because the synergies between the tank and the support. So I'm very curious to see if RQT will actually have any impact at all because knowing him, he was actually killed by a remech. First of all,
Oh yeah, okay,
Oh.
yeah. Actually, no, we lose this match. He got killed by a remake.
and but knowing him, he's still a phenomenal flex DPS player. Even if he did get killed by a remech, because low key remech is better than a Doomfist ultimate, and you know.
What do you mean
Just
low?
superior.
Exactly, and
Space Jam 2.
yeah, I agree. That would be a scary combo. But
Space Jam 2 Eagle Boogaloo.
but anyways, I think that will conclude it for the novice section of the countdown. Thank you all so much for coming out. My name is Corbs, here with my co-host Peripheral and Golden Apple Guy and Jer as my guests, and hope you all have a wonderful time. We got the intermediate section coming up next, so don't go anywhere. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the Countdown Intermediate Edition. My name is Jeff Bott, and I am joined here with Navino, the second host for this season.
What up, what up, what up? And also we're joined today by QZY, a coach for Tenacity.
Yo, that's me.
And Rancher, the manager of the infamous Double Cap.
I hate QZY.
That's fair.
No.
Well, it's been a busy week. I guess a lot of teams are trying to find their scrim, trying to find their grounding. We got through not one, but 2 drafts in Intermediate with 2 expansion teams being added, which, you know, we're excited to have you guys join us today. What are your thoughts about, you know, maybe just early thoughts about your own draft? Do you feel like you had a pretty good group of talent that you got out of it? And what did you think about the talent overall? We'll start with you, Ranter.
I mean, I guess like by community standards, we're always going to be like the overhyped, you know, #1 team from the start, you know. But I'd say my draft went pretty decent. A lot of players that I thought like went under radar, kind of shockingly went under radar. Like Pongo, I thought should have been an earlier pick. Corey, I thought should have been an earlier pick. There's a lot of people I thought would go early, but they somehow fell into my hands. I'm not complaining. I understand why we're rated early on, so the #1 team, but I think we need to prove it when it comes to games now.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Naveen,
Rye, what about you? Or QZY, whatever you want to go by.
Yeah, either's fine. I think our draft went pretty well. We kind of got all the players except for a couple that were really snipes from us. but I don't think that affects us too much. I think our core of our team is pretty solid with like our tank line, our support line, and I think our DPS line is one of, if not the best in intermediate, right, with Rav and Squirrelbet. So I'm not disappointed with our draft. I think it went pretty well. Little hiccups here and there, but at the end of the day, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, yeah. And Navino, obviously, you're part of this league as well, though a joining from production standpoint today. How do you think, Mortal Wombat's draft went, and what do you think of the talent out there this season?
I gotta say, rest in peace to my boy Pine.
Sure, pal.
Sniped. Rest in peace. Moment of silence with the candle. Got stuck on Sextus, as some of them call it. But I feel pretty good about Mortal Wombat's draft. Like, I like the players we got. We have a good core. Like, Reborn was like a number 1 pick for us, and I'm really happy we got him. And I'm pretty pleased overall with our bench and depth overall. I will say, like, specifically Chow has been a pleasant surprise for us on off tank.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at a lot of the off tanks that were available, right? There does seem to be a consensus in the community that it could be a relatively close roll. Like even when you look at some of the lower ranked teams, I think there's some talent to be had in that role, right? So I think there may be a tier above, but where you can make that tier above will really make a big difference, right?
Nah, I think Navino sucks.
This is true. According to Monster TM, I'm the worst off tank.
Oh
user.
no,
He's already
That's
calling.
the first one.
We need to have a counter up in the top left that says Navino call outs and ticks appear every time that it happens. We'll be in the hundreds by the end.
I'm just here to meme, meme and have some good fun.
All right, well, moving away from memes, let's go through the draft. Let's talk about some of these rosters, and let's start with the Thought Police. Obviously, a captain change right before the draft. Little Pants coming in to replace King Genius. They picked up Chief. They picked up Greek in the draft. Gum Sauce, Tevatron. They have a lineup which a lot of people are doubting, right? Greek has had moments in League Zero where he's looked good on teams. Chief I've heard nothing but good things out of Pugs. I have not seen him myself. I know they're in the lower rankings of a lot of the community, but I would love to see something come from this roster. Maybe if it's the coaches stepping up or something. I think they can maybe carve out a meta surrounded by some of the talent they have where they can take some wins, but this is a team that's going to find it hard to make the playoffs. What do you think, Navino?
There's a reason they're rated as last by the community, and I really want them to prove me wrong. But like, I would say a bright spot's probably Chief. Like I played with Chief on Gods of Inter and Toker. Go to team. Except for Painless. Then hey, Painless isn't in League Zero. I'm fine. It's fine.
Oh, hey, QZ, all I gotta say is this guy sucks. We beat him in Toker and we won.
You beat me from the bench. I was on the bench.
Sure, pal.
I was. But like, Chief is a really good talent. I don't know if if Archivist is gonna really like pull enough their own weight to like keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then like Greek, I think is hit or miss. Like Greek has really good moments. But then he also has like a temper, which is known by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, one of the better pieces is like Tevatron was pretty high on Mortal's draft board before the draft. Like he wasn't like our top choice of main tank, but he was like one of our options we would have been fine going with.
Okay.
So I think they have like, my big question marks for them, honestly, is their support line, because I do love my boy Gum Sauce, but does this man even like play the game?
Availability, right? Yeah.
Like when he was on Mob last season, I just remember he couldn't make like anything, which is like he didn't, and like True just, I mean, also he just he didn't start over True Donger at any point, so like, but or Court wasn't he? I thought Gum was a main support last season.
No, Gum's a flex support. He always has been.
Yeah.
Bro, what? He
So,
That shows how much you know about him.
QZ, what any quick thoughts on Thought Police? What you think? Anyone looking underrated on the roster?
Personally, I think their shining player in my eyes, or their shining kind of like roles in my eyes, is definitely their tank line. I know that Kevtron's a very smart player, and I know that he's a bit of a more passive main tank rather than Greek, who's a very, very aggressive off tank. And I know both of them have the mechanical skill, but the problem that I see is kind of their play styles really not meshing well together, right? While Teptron wants to play a bit more back and a bit more smart and tactical, Greek wants to play a bit more aggressive and go in and try to pound on the Zarya or like the Hog or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think conflicting play styles within the team and also inconsistent like player skill compared to the rest of the league might really like hurt them as a unit. But I don't think they're as bad as everyone's saying they are. I think they could definitely improve, but I will say again, like you guys already said it, there is a reason why everyone's ranking them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Navina.
I don't know, like, if I would say, like, there's no, but my big thing is there's no other team that I can see losing to them consistently. Even, like, the other bottom teams like Capitalism, MI6, and, like, Exodus, right? And,
Yeah.
like, just the bottom half of the league, right, outside the top three. I do not see any of them losing consistently. I see them taking a win, probably, but I would not... I know we're not doing hot takes yet, but I can see them going winless.
Yeah, go ahead, Renter. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna talk about them much because I'm gonna be extremely toxic if I do. But the one thing I will say about them is like that I don't think that's a hot take. I do think they'll go winless. That's the furthest I'm going because I don't want to actually sound like a
no. And I think that's a fair take. But we talked about other teams. Let's talk a little bit about Capitalism next. Obviously, Great Cub coming back as their captain. He was captain last year at the beginning. Am I
left to go join the Guangzhou?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Picking up Remy Nova, who have been in and out of League Zero. Deflect Z, Copy Dog joining. Commercial being drafted up from Novice. This is another team where they have some talent, but it's going to be, to me, another team that's going to make a push, another push to make in the playoffs. I think Remy, Great Cub, Nova on certain heroes, Ender. There's talent there, but it's when you look at the other teams and when we start looking through more and more of these teams, I think you'll see why at first it can be some doubts, but if Event Horizon does show up or they get some coaching, I think it's a team that all has players that can learn the game and are smart and can learn the way to play with each other and maybe make waves, more so than Thought Police, I think. But I think it's going to be a struggle for them still. Renter. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say like the one because I don't want to talk about Thought Police. I actually have more positives for this team. I can see this team actually sneaking in playoffs.
You think?
Because
yeah.
Ender's really good. Ender is really good.
Yeah.
The reason, I still have us the second worst team, right? Like, I'm not gonna argue that. I still think they're the bottom two.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I'm saying they could sneak in is like if they just start improving as a team, I could see them maybe knocking out like an MI6 out the playoff spot, and then they just get in off that, and they get like the last seed. So, like, I will say there's positives with this team, but like I won't talk on that because there's way more negatives and I don't want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if that's another thing to add, right? With the expansion draft, maybe my initial thoughts are curved a little bit because obviously we've gone from 6 to 8 teams, and the player pool hasn't changed that much. So that's if they can take a couple wins off, a few of those teams, then yeah, it's in the playoffs. You don't need to beat the top teams to get in necessarily.
I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it only the top 6 making in?
Yes.
The bottom 2 are eliminated.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying if they can just get a win over Thought Police and like MI6, they're basically in. That's what I'm saying.
So here's my thing, right? Is like, I know Jeff, you wanted to structure this like really well, but I the flow of this conversation, I just need to say this.
No, you're good.
I'm most like a little biased because I did just get done with the tournament with Nova, but like QZY, like Rye, you know how much, like that tournament pained me at points, right? We
Yeah.
won a tournament with Nova at main tank, and I will say this: Nova mechanically, I think, can actually keep up in this SR. What I don't think is that he can lead a team.
That's fair.
So like Koala Kings is a team. We just won like the lowest division of Tranquility, and during Tranquility, Nova went from like 2,700 to 3,400. Like he gained 700 SR, right? Like mechanically, he's a very good. I think his Winston mechanically is very good, but when he gets like boomed, he just stops talking. He doesn't call. He doesn't fight plan. He doesn't do what a main tank needs to do, right? Which is like why like I did it all for Koala in terms of like calming. And so like that's my big worry for them. But if Nova like maybe Event can help him out, if Nova can actually lead the team with Ender and like I think Remy is a good off tank to have because he'll just kind of just like keep you alive. As well as and then like I actually don't hate the support line entirely. Like I think Great Cub could be good. I just haven't seen him play in a long time. I don't know if he's really played since last season of League Zero. I think GRG it's like a fine main support. But what makes me feel pretty good about Capitalism is their tank line, actually, especially mechanically. And then the Ender's a really good flex DPS. And then Great Cub, if he's on his game. But I actually think their backup Rocket could do okay. I had Rocket on our draft list. He was like one of the people we wanted for our backups. And I thought he was pretty good. Like, he could do very well. My big question mark for them is hit scan.
Okay.
Because I don't know who the hell their hit scan is.
Right.
I'm assuming, right?
I don't know, like, but I remember did the Flex play on Bark or something?
I think he coached.
He coached.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna say my opinion. I'm gonna make it brief, right? Because we gotta.
Yeah.
But to say what you were saying, Nev, I kind of have the opposite opinion. Not that Nova and Remy are bad, but just the competition in Inter this season for tanks in general is very, very high. And I'm gonna hold my tongue on saying that they are gonna be very good because of just how good like all the tanks are, right? Like Hongo, Romy, Juice, Dizzy, Tevtron, right? Like the good players. And that's like 5 out of the 8 teams, right? So in my opinion, at best, he's 6. So and then like off tank you have Ryu, Jakaru, Greek, Navino. Oh, it's like there's a lot of good off tanks. So it's not. I think that the tank line itself is good, but I also think that the other teams' tank lines are just kind of better. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think Capitalism is
yeah.
a decent team.
So and moving on to MI6, right? Just to keep us going. First expansion draft team. Say this for both of them. I think both of them drafted pretty well given the circumstances and have built decent rosters, but I don't think either of them are going to be up there. Laura, Wana, Flames of Raw, Monarch, Andrew O, Drift, all members who have been in and out of tournaments around this community that I know of, all pretty good players. So, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to compete with the top of this league. So I think it's gonna be this is like the final team really where you're really just looking to battle into the playoffs. Right?
Yeah. Personally, I'm not high on MI6. I'll come out and say that. I am not that high on this team. I think, much like Capitalism's tank line, I think this team is kind of outclassed in a lot of ways. I think Faith, when I saw him in like other leagues, was decent, but once again, the tanks are kind of so stacked. Right? I think Wana, I haven't really seen much. I've kind of seen a little bit, but like it's not really crazy good from what I've seen. I think Lore definitely is their bright spot of their team with Flames of Rome. I think both of them are really good. But I think the skill ceiling on both of those roles, hit scan and flex support, is so high that I don't know how far they can go. I know MI6 has had decent success in other leagues and stuff like that, but I don't think it's gonna be crazy. Like, I don't think they're gonna do that good.
They're lucky to make the playoffs.
I think their leadership is decent. I just don't think the player skills there.
That's fair. Yeah, Nev. I mean, I'm sure you've seen more of these players in Pugs, like.
I was MIA during Pug.
Okay, well, all right. Well,
but I will say that I do like I was more sold on Wana's main support than Tyler was. I'll say, like in our scouting, As an old tracker, Mwana's pretty good, and he's played on good teams before. Like, he knows what to do. But main support's one of those things where it's just like, it's hard to rate, right? I remember Flames of Raw from Flux. He's okay. Then you have Swifters on Flex CPS. Please don't tell me that you're starting. I love you, Swifters, but no. Swifters went on DC for a time last season. No. He doesn't like to play May at all. Then I think Laura could be good. I don't know who the heck their off tank is, and if their main tank's Speedy, like, okay.
The Doof?
Like,
yeah.
Is it Andrew O? Like, I don't even know who it is going to be.
I think a lot of this team, I need to see the rosters they're putting out. Ranger, is there anything else you want to add about MI6?
I mean, like, going in, I think it's just gonna be Capitalism and MI6 fighting for that last playoff spot mainly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just gonna be between those two. Whoever's gonna get like that one extra win or the head-to-head matchup in the case they do tie. But
I think Exodus could be like that too.
yeah, I we'll get on to them, but I feel like the bright spot of them is again Lore. Like we mentioned that. I think Lore is probably the best player on this team overall, and I think that's what they're gonna be banking on. I hope they can sneak into the playoffs and then like maybe upset Wombat or DC in round 1 or Tenacity. Like I don't know.
I mean, the issue is when you look at the hit scan is so deep. When you look at the 8 starters, right? Like it's Laura is Laura playing hit scan in this league, right?
Yeah. Because Swifters is flex, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
plays Korean stuff, so I could see them switching it up. But like I just don't understand. Like did Pepega take? What did they take?
Pego took Central, Tease, and
yeah. Let's just go straight. We'll do the expansion back next. So if you want to start with Pepega, Nev, yeah, we can just jump right into them.
I'm so confused by their captain's choice. Like, Puma's a great person, you know, all that, but like, I do not think they're competitive at this rank, at all.
They've built a solid team around.
No, I think the team itself was pretty solid.
Yeah,
because Juice is solid. I think Rio is solid when he's not like tilted. Then you have Central, who's pretty good. I thought After Hype was okay in Pugs.
T-San, Aurora, yeah.
It depends on what Gino's playing for me. If I think Gino is a good pick. Ranter, do you know what Gino's playing?
The rumor is that he's playing DPS, but like,
oh god,
if you want me to be completely honest with you, I would actually put on an off tank considering they don't have an off tank for the 2 weeks. Rio's gone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Because
that
like
or Aurora.
Because like there's 2 things they can do in this situation. You could put Gino on his old role main support, and you could just prey on like double main tank, or you could put like T-Sen on off tank. There's a lot of things. Like there's a lot of question marks, right? But the thing I want to like see is mainly what they're gonna do with Pufa, because will she be the day 1 starter, or will they bring in somebody like Damien mid-season who's a coach for them, and Damien's in the inner SR?
So my also question is then like where is the like leadership on this team? You know,
the leadership is definitely Juice. I'll say that now. Because Juice, okay, so I get to specifically talk about this team because we had this expansion draft because of my rant on Twitter about this, and this is basically my Twitter team besides for the second DPS. So I can say a lot about this team. I think this team could actually contest the top tier. Like, I'm not even kidding on that. Like, in the late season. I don't think they're going to contest it now, obviously, because they have people like Pufa needs to improve drastically in order to be that elite main support.
Yeah.
And they also need their off tank coming in, Ryu. But I think, like, if you think about like this, Juice, Ryu, Central, T-Sen, After Hype, and then let's say like Damien. That team is looking like a scary team that could contest the freeze second seed. Like, you can't lie.
Yeah, I mean,
is T-Sen even playing? Because I know like he kind of just dipped on MI6 last season. Like, is he like actually around?
I think T-Sen will play because of the sole fact that they have people like Central and Ryu, and they're very chill. So I think he'll stay.
Yeah. I mean, Brian, anything on Pepega?
Once again, we gotta go fast. I'm going quick. I think Pepega parents, and we'll get to this later in the hot takes section. Personally, I love this team. I think this team is very, very good and could definitely contest the top tier, given enough time to get Ryu integrated in the lineup right as soon as he comes back. I think a lot of these people on this team are very, very, very good, especially Juice. I think he's very, very good at the video game, right? And I think with him as a leader, this team could go places given enough time. Won't be at the beginning, like Ranger said, but
They just
personally,
can't
I think
get
they'll work
boomed.
together. Yeah, not that they can't get boomed. They
Yeah.
definitely could, but I think they could definitely be very, very good in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
How long is Ryu suspended for?
2 games.
Yeah.
2 games?
Hey, I'm the one hyping it up. This is my Twitter team,
Yeah.
man. When they get top 3, like, all I gotta say is, if Papega wins L0, I want a championship role, because this is the team I basically drafted.
The second, your second team, the backup roster to double cap. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, Exodus next. We'll talk about Exodus. Yeah, I think this team might surprise people. I think they have decent leadership in a lot of the roles. It really just depends on the commitment and if they can get some flexibility on that hit scan role from their starters. That's kind of my take on Exodus right now. But I think they have the leadership to be a good team. So I think they will surprise. Yeah, go ahead.
I disagree completely.
All right.
I don't really like I think the people on this team that like lead this team, I think they're really good people. I like playing with them, I like hanging out with them. I don't think they are very good at getting personalities under control. Now, I'm not saying that people in Exodus are like have insane personalities or that they're unable to control people like that, but I don't think that they're going to work together well as a team. I think it's essentially kind of going to be the dad show. I think he is a very, very, very good DPS, and he's going to kind of run, like, if they're on like a Tracer comp or like any comp where he's going to be doing the most kind of work, that's what they're going to kind of lean into, because I don't think there are a lot of good pieces on the team. I think their main support and their main tank positions are very weak comparative to the rest of the league. And I think that that's not, like, considering how those are the two kind of main taller roles. Oh, it's thundering pretty hard outside. But I think because of that, I don't really like how I don't feel like there's going to be any direction with the team. And that's just my opinion. I think it probably will hold up. I don't know. Obviously, this is all speculation. I can't listen to comms. But I don't really think there's going to be any leadership with the team. And because of that, I think that it's going to turn into more of an individual showcase. And I don't think that they're individually skilled enough to make it work.
And it's just, it's not a great environment to be in.
We don't know that, right? I'm just kind of speculating.
No, yeah, that's fair.
That's what I think, Matt.
Yeah. No.
I think I agree with you, Rye. I also think they're going to be disappointing. I think they could actually probably like battle for the last spot. Mostly because like their main tank position really worries me. I think Shinsei and Amorta are overrated at off tank 100%. Like I do think they both are mechanically gifted, but I don't think they have the ability to carry or lead a team. Then like I just don't know like how much is Laser gonna show up, right? Like how much is Dad gonna really show up? Like is Axel really even playing? Like what is this team doing? They drafted a bunch of players that like in reality, like to have what do they have in common?
A lot of them were on STL from season 1 of Flux Cup, right? So they have.
But I thought it was just Amorta and Axe. Who else was on? Oh yeah, Laser. Okay, so 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the roster is just kind of thrown together.
Yeah, we built synergy from other teams, I believe, right?
Well, Pineapple has experience with some,
TM and Kemi, right, from Exodus, I believe.
Oh, no, Monster wasn't on X. Like Monster and Kemi weren't on X at the same time.
Oh.
But like, they played on Mob together in Train.
Oh yeah, I guess.
But like, what I would say is like, if Z's playing main tank, I have big questions. Their other main tank is the guy that put in this player notes 4200 peak on PS4, so I also have questions.
Fish the goat. Please do not slander Fish.
Fish the goat. Like I don't know. Like also, if they start Monster over Pine, I don't know what's going on. Because like to me, Pine is just a better main support in every way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, maybe they'll. I think I consider them a lock for playoffs. I don't know about you, Ranter, what you think of this team, but it sounds like everyone else hates them. But Ranter.
So I'll play devil's advocate here. I think they're the biggest wild card in the league. And the reason why I say that is because Axel's a good flex support if they're showing up. Their DPS line's Laser Dad. That's a very underrated DPS line going in. The weak spots, I agree, will be the tanks. However, there will be some crazy games where they just get some random upsets because their DPS just carry. And
Yeah.
that logic, I just think like, and this is gonna be one of my hot takes. If Pepega is as good as I think they are, and they're contesting tenacity, I could see Exodus getting in that fight for the free spot. For the sole fact that I think Pepega, tenacity, and Exodus could all fight for that third spot if I have Mortal Wombat number 2. And then before like I go on this long tangent, it's the sole fact that the star power of the DPS and Axel can just get an upset win and maybe start screwing over the power.
No, and if that's if you have your flex support and DPS popping off all at the same time, right? And they can just find those early picks against some more disorganized teams, then
I have on number 5, but I could see them being number 3. But I have them at 5.
You can sneak some performances if you're just clicking heads. So
I don't agree with these two necessarily, but I think like they have a lot of potential to be one of the worst teams or could contest the top tier. They're the most wild card team in this tournament.
All right, well, let's move on to, I think what a lot of people would consider the top 3-ish teams, at least coming out of the initial draft. Pepega Parrots with a little bit of shock to maybe spice that up. But we'll start with Mortal Wombats, home of our own Navino. If you want to go ahead and talk about this one first.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, how do you, I mean, just like at your draft, like you feel like you got I mean, I know Reborn's a special player. Reborn can carry games at times, right?
Fun fact, Reborn is currently plat, by the way.
Yeah.
Love me brown, baby.
Love me brown. But I'm pretty happy. I think we're a solid team that's definitely can contest the other two in the top 3. We've had good times, and frankly, like, it's been, the scrims have like gotten just like better exponentially since our very first one, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's been night and day. Each scrim has been like vastly different.
And just high level, I think this roster is pretty well put together with decent leadership, and with a lot of, especially in the staff position, people who have worked with each other before. So there's going to be a lot of synergy.
Tyler's stinky.
Yeah, a lot of the team kind of knows what they're coming into. Slimall is really underrated, or I mean, I guess he's normally rated now when it comes to the main support. When I look at some of the tier lists, Ranter, thoughts about the Mortal Wombats?
I actually have us my second best team in the league.
Interesting.
I don't have them number 3. I actually have them over Tenacity and Pepega. I think they're going to be stronger at the start, though, compared to late season, even though they have a hard schedule at the start. Because I feel like the more you see this team, the more weaknesses will eventually get exposed in this team. But I think at the start, it's going to be so strong for them that they might, like, you could say, like, upset DC maybe in week 2. And I know that's my own team. Like, they could get some, like, it's actually pretty huge for them that they're playing the strong teams at the start for me, because I feel like with the current state of the meta, they could be very dangerous at the start. And I think like they will get some wins off of that alone, because again, Romy's a strong Rhine. And before I go on a little bit too much, I think like this team will also get along together. You have likable players like Reborn, Nev, even Ian himself, and Slimall. I think this team will get along well, and I think like
Real Redemption, Ian Kenny, like just making sure.
Yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say. This team's gonna start bonding, and I think it's good that they're playing their strong teams at the start.
Yeah, no, it's really good. That's a really good point, honestly, and yeah, no, that's great. Rye, can you follow up?
I'm in essentially the same boat. I think less so that they're gonna peter out as the season goes on. I think that this team in general will be a dummy aggressive team. That's what I can see them being.
Me aggressive? Never.
Yeah, exactly. Like Romy Navino tank line, especially with like them being the people who are calling the most, are gonna be aggressive, right? That's just how it's gonna be. I think much like Mob Mentality and Intermediate last season, the tempo that they're gonna be playing at is gonna be so much faster than a lot of the other teams that they're gonna get wins based off of tempo alone. And I think that can be very, very exploitable. Like, once again, I think that there's definitely going to be teams that will be exploiting that with, like, slower-based comps, or, like, maybe, like, bunker comps, or, like, any other comps that play very slow and play, like, get angles, stuff like that, I think might really screw them. But I think tempo alone is going to carry this team through a couple games, or if not that, then, like, the whole season. because I don't know. I think that they could be very coordinated as a team because of just the good comps that they have, and like, you know, there's no really wild cards on this team except for maybe Romy, but like.
I think it's a team. Yeah, it's a team that needs to come in with the expectation that, you know, they if they're not in the finals, I think this season's been a huge disappointment, right? They definitely come in as
Dang,
one of,
bro. All right.
no, but you know, like I think just given the experience and the players, I think it's a team that wants to win, and I think that's what they're driving for, and I think they see it as achievable. And I think if you don't make it, then, you know, it's been.
I wouldn't go that far, but damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, like, because you have to think there's people in double cap, Papega, and Tenacity that are, like, decent as well and probably can contend the title. I wouldn't say, like, it's finals or bust for them. I would say, like, it's top 4 bust. If they're anywhere outside the top 4, that's a disrespect to that roster.
You think top 4? I think they should be contending, but I also... all of those top 3, yeah.
I think the top 4 should all be contending for the title.
Yeah, that's fair. It wasn't meant as like anything super harsh or anything, but I do. It's more on me saying that I do think it's a really good roster.
I was gonna say if they get second rounded because they lose like double cap. I was gonna say that's not a bummer of a season.
Yeah, no. I mean, it is. You lost to Ranter, you know, but you know.
Fraud, sir. #, fraud.
All right, talking about aggressive teams, let's talk about Tenacity. So, obviously, Squirrel Ben as the captain, Dizzy as a main tank, brings a certain style of play. Oats really hyped up in some of the community. Ravioli been mentioned as a potential MVP candidate. I saw in a couple people's tier lists. It's another really, really strong roster with, you know, if everyone's there, a pretty strong coaching staff, right? And a manager who has experience at a really high level. So, Rai, what do you think of your roster? I think you guys are another team that are looking at end in the top 3 teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think our team is probably the most, like, well-rounded in terms of play style. Right, there's a lot of people on the team that can be swapped in and out with different play styles so that it can fit really any type of thing. So I think we're the most flexible team, personally. And although we have like a bunch of high caliber players, it's still going to take a lot of work to get them to work together, right? With any roster, that's going to be the case. But I have faith in our coaching staff, you know, not to brag or anything, but I think we're pretty good at like getting players together, keeping them level-headed, stuff like that, and just implementing concepts into the gameplay. And I think we're gonna win a lot of games based off of like almost mechanical skill and like rotations alone. But that's just my opinion. I'm not gonna talk too much about my team.
No, that's a good summary. Navina, thoughts on Tenacity?
Good all-round roster. Like, can't really hate on that. I would say my one question mark for them is I didn't think their flex. I think their flex sport's kind of meh, like just overall, because it's like it's just Fooligan. How do you say How do you say that?
You can say no.
Fooligan.
I would assume he wants it Fooligan, but
so Fooligan, and then your backup's like is it I mustache?
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, like to me, like I played with I on God's Enter too. Like they're both solid players. I just don't know if they're game changing. That would be my one bone to pick. And also maybe like I don't know how they're really playing May comps, because I don't think Squirrel Ben's May is like known or that great. Like he's known for his snipers for a reason, and he's very good at those snipers and very good hit scan overall. So I'm just interested to see how that works out. But yeah, good team. If I had to pick issues, those are the ones I mentioned were it.
Yeah, and I mean, Ranter, you got any quick thoughts on Tenacity?
I don't know. It's more questions than anything. I'm not on the Tenacity boat like everybody is, and Houston can actually answer some of these. I don't think this team is as good as people think they are, but I still think they're title contenders, if that makes sense. Because I question if Dizzy's going to be available for every game. I question their starting flex support. I don't think as Ben is flexible as people think he is. And Adifi can't make the early on stages.
I didn't know that about Adifi.
I'm a little bit worried for this team going in, for the sole fact that they might struggle early on, and I don't think they're going to crack that top 3 if people like Papega are getting stronger towards the end. So I have more questions than actual, like, ranking them, if that makes sense, but I don't think this is a bad team, and I'm not disrespecting their team. I'm just worried with this team, if that makes sense.
think our biggest issue right now is kind of schedule, but that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm worried for them, because
Yeah.
Dizzy, if he does show up to every game, who's your main tank, right? You're gonna play
Dude,
Swirlhawk main tank.
Swirlhawk, bro.
Yeah, like,
Warhawk the goat. Please do not do
Adifi is here for the early stages.
We're
I
staying
don't,
Rav on main tank.
I don't think Ben is as flexible again as people say, and I worry about the Shari flex support. So just too many questions for me to rank them higher than 3. If that makes sense. Or
That's
4.
I mean that's fair, and it definitely is a team that maybe if their availability opens up during the end of the season could make a run, right? Like it isn't a team you necessarily will want to face in the first round of the playoffs. Like a lot of talent.
I agree. I just have too many questions for them. I still have them as title contenders. I just think that they're gonna be the. Okay, this is gonna sound toxic, but I think they're the worst title contender. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes. I mean, on the lowest, part of that tier.
Yeah. I think they're still in it, but they're the lowest one in my opinion.
Yeah.
Speaking of title contenders, what about double cap?
What about double cap? Yeah.
That's a good transition.
Double cap is a roster. It is very strong. I have it as my strongest. I think almost everyone does, just based on the people known in the community. So there's no hot takes here. But Renter, how are you feeling about this roster? I mean, it looks like almost every hole should be filled, but
I would say it's definitely the best mechanical team in the league, but the question I have for my own team is coming in, can they bond well enough as a team to continue at this top rate? And they get like an upset loss or something, can they stay together long enough for their talent to win the league, if that makes sense? Because these are all very explosive players when it comes to the mechanics, but the only one I think that has won a league is Tanek and Pongo.
That's insane. That's insane.
So I'm thinking like, what I see with my own issues with this team is, can we just stay together and learn from our mistakes and not think that we're invincible, because we're probably not. We need to just focus on trying to get the wins as much as we can so we can get in the playoffs and work on issues that we might see going in. Because I don't want us to think we're the number 1 favorite. We are the number 1 team in my opinion, but I want us to treat every opponent like the fear that we could get beaten, because I think we should focus on the task ahead and winning the championship itself, because we are the number 1 favorite to win the title.
Yeah. And when we're talking about losing in finals, I think we should go to Navino next.
Dang, bro.
Corruption.
Hey. Look at the Marsupial Hall of Fame. We have plenty of titles now. We have plenty of titles now. But I would tend to agree. I think the personalities on this team can be rather explosive at times. My big questions is like, I know a lot of people rate Tanek really highly, but my experience with him on OWO back in Flux Season 1, I don't even know if people knew he was on OWO in Flux Season 1. Wasn't the greatest. I also know that he has shit internet, so really
it's actually fixed now. It's
just fixed. Okay.
Yeah, because like he still has it right, but it's only at later stages of time. Like say you have a midnight game, he's gonna have ping issues. It's only at weird stages. But like when it comes to like scrim time and game time, I think it'll be fine.
That's good. But I will say that my question marks, my big thing that I'm like is like, is their off tank really gonna be up there? Because Jakaru, like a big thing that like we had in our draft chart, I'm sure everyone did, and I've talked to you about this, Rancher, is like, Jakaru doesn't have availability.
You'll just wait till you see my hot take.
Okay, I'm assuming it. Anyway, and then I also think Silvertalls is like a Zen OTP. I like Silvertalls. I just don't. I was never really impressed with them outside of his Zenyatta.
I think Silvertalls has improved a lot. I think he was worthy of being taken where he was in relation to the flex support.
We are up to 5 now. There'll be no call out count.
Okay, you want me to be honest though? You say that, but I actually picked him up for his Zen.
Oh no!
See,
maybe he hasn't gotten.
His Zen is very good. Like honestly, like super good. I even thought this when I watched him play with Aphelion versus Joey. That like whenever he was off the Zen, like he just didn't have the same amount of impact.
So my thing with Silver, I know it's my team, so I'm gonna go on a long tangent. Obviously, Silver's actually a strong Zen, but his Ana and Bap shouldn't be like messed with because he used to be an Ana one trick. So.
All right. Well, we'll check in next week on the How is Silvertall's doing segment, and we'll talk about him some more. QZY, any thoughts on double cap?
I'm gonna be really brief.
Yeah.
God damn it! How did?
Wait, no, you can't say
go
that.
to fourth and fifth.
I got permission for cusses. I got
Okay.
Like it's
for light cussing.
honestly a tragedy that even happened, and the fact that double cap got them while also getting other picks that they really wanted in the previous rounds is ridiculous, right? Like they clear number one favorites. Personally, I haven't seen a lot of Tanic, and I've already said this on my tier list. I haven't seen a lot of them, so I don't really know where to rank him. A lot of people say that he's good, so I'll take their word for it. But that's if if there was any like kind of worries that I would have, it's kind of like the DPS line and how they stack up. But I do agree that there's no way the DPS line isn't top like half, but how good they are.
It's a good roster.
I know Frozen's very good. I haven't seen Tanic be, but just want to see how.
The quick thing I'll go on Tanic before, so I don't want to keep rambling on my team.
Yeah.
The reason why, the thing with Tanic, I actually value him not for his mechanics, but he's actually really good in game leader, and I combined that with Corey, so think about it like that.
That's good.
All right. Well, yeah. Go ahead, Navina.
Last thing I'll say is like, Pongo dropping was a thing of his own device. Like he just, I mean, you even said yourself, Rancher, you had to check to see if he was willing to play. So like, no one wanted to touch him because we were all scared that we were just going to draft him not do anything.
Yeah.
Because he donut walled everyone.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We thought he was going to advance. That was the main thing.
I think, yeah.
Up to 6 now.
It's a strong roster. Yeah. We've
The Toker Commission will MTD everybody when Pongo's not here.
I honestly think we've covered these rosters so in depth over everyone talking about them that we don't really have to answer any questions. So we're gonna move straight into the power rankings right here. There's a new format for the power rankings. They're not the people here on the podcast with us do not provide them. Me and Navino shown with the analyst and community right now, and this is the thing I sent in the message. A little bit of difference between ours and Navino, but nothing super outlandish, I would say.
I think just 1 or 2 spots.
We switched combat, tenacity, Exodus, parrots, capitalism, MI6, but around the same order, and the community is higher on MI6, or the analysts are higher on the MI6 than us, and the community is pretty in line with what Navino is saying, -1. Any explanation for your rankings, Navino? I think during the draft you'll probably get the idea why we think these rosters are where they are, but anything extra you want to add?
No, I think we covered it just in the discussion of the draft.
Yeah, I think so too. Rye, any observations from the community? You looking
from the
like
community or from one of you?
Or either of us, yeah. You can.
Okay, now I'm gonna call out you, Jeff.
Okay.
Why do you think that Exodus is the 4th best team
over
Pega Paris?
I just have some faith in the leadership, like I said, it was kind of my hot take that I thought Exodus might be able to break into the top 3. Like I do think those players can get a team working together. I think they've shown it in the past, and we'll talk about it more in hot takes. But yeah, I think Exodus has potential.
I mean, he's not far off. I just don't agree with him. That makes sense.
Yeah, no. Ranter, anything you see here that double cap is looking pretty strong right now. I would say a gap of 1.1 positions in the analysts and 1.4 or 1.6 in the community. Like. They are pretty heavy favorites right now. Are you guys ready to bear that tag?
Of course we are, but like it's gonna obviously come with some consequences. If we lose, we're obviously gonna get flamed by the community. But I think at the end of the day, we shouldn't be focusing on the power rankings. We should be focusing again on the task that I said earlier of winning the championship. See what we do wrong and try to keep the team together because we are the best mechanical team, in my opinion.
Using countdown to motivate your players, it's a strat, I guess. Moving on to predictions now. Navino and I both have double cap, 3-0. Anything you want to add to that matchup? And if you know, they are playing against. Oh, I should
They're
have
playing
had that.
capitalism, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're playing capitalism.
they are. Okay, can you actually go through this? I don't have the schedule up. So
Yeah, I got you. So
Yeah.
they're playing against capitalism. We both have it at 3-0. 3-0 for DC.
QZ, what do you just really quick? What do you think the match is going to be?
Yeah, I think 3-0 for DC.
And Ranter, it's your own team, so I'm not going to get your.
No, don't worry. I'm telling you, Capitalism is gonna come out with the 3-2.
All right, go ahead, Navino. Talk about the matchup.
This fraud 3R guy is like pretty tragic.
I mean, okay. To be fair though, I do think Capitalism will put up more of a fight than what people think. I still think a 3-0, but I don't think.
I don't think it'll be. I'm higher on a capitalism it seems than most everyone else here, and I think they'll be okay. They'll do.
I think we're gonna roll them, but I don't think it's gonna be like too bad where like they should be a novice. I think it's still a dinner team.
Okay, yeah, and most 100% of the analysts think that Double Cap is gonna win, and 97% of the community think that Double Cap is gonna win.
Okay. Before we go on, I guarantee that 3% is all capitalism players.
Anyway, moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
It's Wombat versus Tenacity. Jeff has 3-2 for Tenacity.
Yeah.
I don't have a score prediction because I'm on that team. Analysts have Tenacity winning 71%. So 71% analysts believe Tenacity will win. And then the community is 50-50 split.
I think it's the closest split of the week. It's the match of the week, in my opinion. Like it's gonna be a strong match right out the gates. Yeah, I mean, I know it's your team, so you can't talk much on it, Navino, right? I know it's your team, so you can't talk much on it. Ranter, I'm sure you guys are actually interested in kind of like how this match ends up and seeing what they look like.
I mean, I think it's a good read for us that they're playing early on because are we playing Wombat next week or are we
I know all the top teams play each other in the first 3 weeks.
I think we get an advantage that this is the game of the week and they're playing a hard opponent early on because we get a better read of them than they get a better than the read of us because we're playing capitalism and they're playing one of the harder teams. So I think we get a better read going in.
Definitely looks like a really good match to watch, right? So
I still think Wombat actually wins this series because I think their aggression. I think they're gonna be a stronger team early on. That's gonna carry them into the top 3 solely, even if they play weaker later on.
I have Tenacity as a 3-2, but in all reality, it could be close. I actually think now thinking about like some of the things that have been said and kind of processing through it with the core, Wombat might be stronger out the gates. I think that's a really good point. So maybe it's a matchup that might bring some playoff in. It might flip later on in the season or in the playoffs if they meet. But yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be a
just
good
wait
game.
till Papega gets in the match and it's really going to be kicking.
Yeah.
Okay. So Exodus versus Thought Police. We both have 3-0.
Yeah.
The analysts have 78% have Exodus winning, and 94% of the community. To me, real quick, I'll say like if they drop a map to Thought Police, then they are much worse than I thought. Then they're leaning towards the doomsday prediction of myself and QZY if they lose a map to Thought Police.
I think anything that comes out of this match would be this isn't going to tell us anything unless there's some no blowouts either way. It's going to be hard to tell where these teams are, but yeah, it should be a 3-0 for Exodus. Rye, Ranter, do you have Thought Police taking a map or anything here?
Don't worry, Greeks will come out and win this series for them.
Hot take. I have Thought Police winning a map.
Oh, 3-1 for Exodus.
I think it's 3-1. I think they're gonna win control.
Okay.
Okay.
I
think they're gonna win it just because of I don't think Exodus's brawl will be very good, and that comes with like the main tank position and the main support position being of the week. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people have a very different opinion, but I definitely, especially if it is Li Shang, I can see it happening. I'm not saying it will, but I can see.
Yeah.
It's all dependent on the first map, really. If you're gonna go off that prediction, then.
I think Exodus will thrive in more DPS reliant comps, like the ball comps, for example, where you can have like snipers and like tracers and stuff like that. So I think more like open maps will allow. No, Lijiang mainly isn't that. It's more or less a kind of a very enclosed map, and that's kind of almost all control rather than.
Okay, just go on.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No,
I'm
no,
just
I
saying,
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah,
I just
what's the
think that
last
the
map?
more open
Nev?
the maps
I
get,
think X
the
is
more
free now,
X
but
is
go on,
gonna
go on, go
thrive.
on.
Chillax.
Last
Yeah,
map, last map.
I get the thought process. Last match is MI6 versus Papega Parrots.
Yeah.
So, actually, Jeff and I both picked this as an upset game. Both house having MI6 winning 3-2. With Papega Parrots, though, as 100% predicted by the analysts, 71% by the community. I would say for me, the reason I predicted 3-2 is because without Ryu, I think this team is very beatable. And I also don't think that with Pufa, I don't think Pufa's going to be at the level yet she needs to be to compete. And I think MI6 will be more ready right out the gate.
I have nothing to add. You pretty much hit on my read of the situation. I think MI6 is more ready to go now. I think Papega Parrots might be strong in talent, but I think a lot of MI6 has worked together, especially when you look at some of the people from Flux Cup Season 1. And I think that's going to help them be a little bit stronger at the beginning. So I think this is really the worst time for Papega Parrots to play MI6. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Ranter?
Let go QZ go first because I might go on.
Okay.
I have a long one, so you might.
All right,
first.
QZ.
We're like 50 minutes by
Yeah, we are at 50 minutes.
Yeah,
we do
I
need
don't
it.
have
QZ.
anything to say. I think MI6 might be 3. It might be Papega Parrots 3-2, but
Akri is
I'm
gonna
gonna go with the safe bet and say
Okay,
MI6.
I'll try to make this quick.
Yeah.
I think Papega's gonna free two because the sole fact, depending on their lineup, but they put the right people in the right position. I think yes, MI6 in theory has people on the roles, and that's why they're gonna get some match. But I think Papega's talent just overtakes them, and that's why I'm gonna say I don't want to go on too.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Okay, hot takes. Let's go. Navino, give us your hot. I'll go first. We'll save you for last. I want to hear your hot take after all the mess you've been talking this whole. So I have Exodus in top 3. I do think I trust the leadership. I think that's my hot take, and I think
top 3.
Yeah, top. I think they're gonna make top 3. I don't.
Who do you think they beat in the top 3?
I don't know. That's not part of my hot take. It's just that Exodus is gonna make it. All right, let's hear yours.
I mean, we kind of already hit on it, but I'm gonna elaborate further on it.
Yeah.
I think Papega Parrots by the end of the season will be pushing for finals, if not gonna make it to finals. I think Papega Parrots with the right people in the right places, like Ranter said, when Ryu finally gets in and meshes with Juice, I think they're gonna be a team that is very scary, and I don't think a lot of people will be able to stop them. I think the DPS line's really, really good. I think the tank line's really, really good, and I think the support line's also good. But yeah, so if they can mesh together by the end of the season, while keeping an okay record waiting for their players to get in, I think they'll be really, really good.
No, makes sense.
Reminds me like Paris Eternal.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. Ranter, hot take. Let's hear it.
Okay, since people already keep questioning Tanic and Jakaru, I'll hit one bird with one stone here. I think Jakaru, if his schedule is in the favor for DC, Jakaru will be an MVP candidate for this team despite it being his rookie season. I think Jakaru... So this is the really hot take. I think Jakaru is in contention for one of our best players. He's... The first map he played, he literally ate three blizzards. And it was like a 4K scrim. So, I think he's legit. I think he's going to be one of the best off-takes in the league, and he will be in the conversation for All-Star and MVP.
Okay, all right, and let's hear it, Naveen.
In here? Yeah, wait,
There's only one bird.
Yeah, I know I said I'm going to hit one. Tanic is just his in-game leadership is just good enough that I don't think you guys really can hear that. So that's why I understand why he's ranked low.
Sure. All right, Navino, send us home. What's this hot take?
I don't know. It's truly a hot take, but Thought Police doesn't win a map
all season.
Okay.
All season.
Okay, that's a little bit too hot.
No, dude, I can't.
When does Thought Police play? No. I think they're gonna take a map.
I think they'll take a map.
I think they are the worst. I think they are a worse version than Rio Redemption in season 2 of Novice.
If you want to be honest, I somewhat agree with you. I think they're not gonna win a single match, but I think they will take some maps because some teams will troll and maybe off-roll and shit, right? So I think they'll win a map because some bullshit happens, right? Oh,
no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying you wanted a hot take. It's not enough a hot take for me to say they'll go winless.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying they don't win a match.
It's a hot take. All right, I'm gonna wrap us up. It's almost been an hour. Akri's gonna kill us, like no doubt.
I already told him.
Yeah.
Give me a
You
worst
gotta be
record
on the
stuff.
show.
I try to keep things formatted with my bet. Thank you, Rye, for joining us. Thank you, Ranter, for joining us. Their Twitter links are going to be in their bios. Me and Navino are heading out. Our Twitter links are in our little things here. All right. Thank you,
See you
guys,
next week.
and you have a great week.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Countdown for our new season of League Zero, which is Season 4. Once again, I am your host, RMM. But this season, I have a new friendly host, so I don't have to look for more people, because that's very hard for me to do. It's, Asto.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm very excited. We're gonna have a great season. There's gonna be a lot of good competition. Hopefully some big upsets, some big Cinderella stories, and I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. Today, we have here with us Phone from Goofy Goobers and Pixel from Hope's Peak. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Nope.
Nope? Okay, not wrong.
Alright, sick.
Alrighty, perfect. So, I forgot, what were we supposed to do first?
Do you want to just talk about
Great
teams real
start,
quick?
great
Let's
start.
just kind of look at some rosters, see what's going on.
Yeah,
in the league.
we'll go over that. I think we just start here with our power rankings, I guess.
Sure.
This season, unfortunately, our friendly guests here aren't allowed to do what we do or predict games. So I'm sorry for that, Pixel, but you're not allowed because, well, we have 4 teams.
And I'm actually crying because of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and start with my power rankings. Hopefully, Akri puts them on the screen in editing because that's what he should be doing. But my number 1 is Powerhouse. Honestly, I just think they had a phenomenal draft. They had a lot of very good. I guess they're all around very strong. I don't see many weaknesses with their roster. The only weakness I really see is One Punch Man's schedule, but he's the manager, so that might not be a problem. My second highest is my second ranked is Hope's Peak. I'm really high on a lot of their players. I know a lot of them. That's mainly why I ranked them second. And third and fourth is Goofy Goobers and Axolotl, respectively. I put Goofy third because from the players I do know on their roster, they are really good. I just don't know a lot of them, so I couldn't, in my right mind, put them second or first. Axolotl, I don't think their players are personally as good as Goofy Goobers, but I have not seen Lechuga or Kurt Lebert play in almost a year and a half. So I don't know how much they've improved. I don't know how good they are now. So that's really my rankings. So I guess it's your turn.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. We have the exact same power rankings, so I'll kind of explain mine and elaborate a bit. So I have Powerhouse sitting at number 1. I think a big thing with this team is just straight up the talent that they have on it. There's a lot of incredibly solid players, names that I know, and I'm very new to the Advanced Division, so seeing what they have available is definitely a scary team to go up against. I think they're going to be a really solid team, and if they can be consistent, they can have all their pieces working at the right times, they can definitely get away with a lot of wins and be my number 1 seed. Number 2, I have Hope's Peak. Not as familiar with the roster. Definitely looks good from what I do know. I think with Hope's Peak, it's a team that will get better as the season goes on. I'm really looking with the coaching staff that they've built. If they can get really good coaching, which is hard to find, there's a lot of good coaching out there, but if the coaching that they can get from their staff works and the players are all clicking and they can kind of get better as the season goes on, I think this team actually can punch up and kind of dominate games. I think it's really going to depend on that. We'll see. I think they can be a really solid team. Goofy Goobers sitting at third, I think as well with this team. right away, I look at the DPS line. I know Phone and Vraja have pre-existing synergy, which is great. It allows the team to kind of focus on other aspects of the game going in instead of trying to build it right away. I know you have Ryanos, an incredibly talented player as well, sitting there. Like, their DPS line is very good. It's some solid players I've played against, so I'm really excited to see how they get introduced into this advanced division and how they can be built around. Like, if the tank line can play solid, the support line can do what they need to do, I think Goofy Goobers can absolutely take over a number 2 spot. They can punch up, get number 1. I think that's really close. And fourth, I have Axolotl Syndicate. It's just a team I'm not too familiar with. I'm excited to see what they can do, what they can show us, but there's too much information that I don't have to rank them any higher than where I've put them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will say I do like a lot of the coaches on Hope's Peak. Jay Venom obviously has contenders experience, right? I believe. Jishua has been part of League Zero, I think 3-4 seasons now, and Pascal as well. Like, Flawless honestly has himself a very, very dedicated and hardworking coaching staff. I know Powerhouse recently did pick up 2 coaches, Duck and Clay Machine. I honestly don't know much about them. Same with Bog and Monolith on Goofy Goobers. So I can't really say if they're good or not. But obviously, knowing Jam I consider a very, very good manager. They probably know a good amount of good coaches. So yeah. Same with One Punch Man. But I guess we just move on here to I guess our match predictions, right? Let me pull up my.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay, so our first game out of 2, Hope's Peak against Axolotl Syndicate. I think. Oh wait, we didn't do the analyst and community power rankings, so we'll just skip back to that. Okay. The analysts had Powerhouse first, Hope's Peak second, Axolotl third, and Goofy Goobers fourth. The community had Powerhouse and Hope's Peak first and second, Goofy Goobers third, and Axolotl fourth. Now the averages were pretty close, I guess, for Powerhouse. They were basically consensus number 1. Yeah. So back to predictions. Okay. So the first game is Hope's Peak against Axolotl. I predict Hope's Peak winning that 3-1. I just think, honestly, Hope's Peak is just looks a little bit better from what I know and what I've heard. I seriously have not heard anything from Axolotl. They'll be the team that we have the least news on.
Yeah, I mean, for me, same game, my prediction, I'm going in 3-0 for Hope's Peak. Again, we don't know too much about Axolotl. I'm hoping that they can come out and they can put up some really good numbers, have a really good match. But I think right now, with what I've got and what I know, I'm going 3-0 for Hopes.
Yeah. Our analysts, 100% of them picked Hope's Peak to win this week, and for the community, 77% of them. So our second game is Goofy Goobers against Powerhouse. I think Powerhouse will win 3-1. I wanted to put 3-2 for Goofy Goobers, but once again, I don't know enough about their roster to confidently put that. I do feel like they're good enough to take off a map, though.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. For me, I mean, I'm sorry, Phone. I went with 3-0 in favor of Powerhouse, but I think...
Man, you're going to regret that.
Honestly, I hope so. I do want to see some really good games. I think there's going to be... Like, this is a week to watch to see who can break out. I do think that Goofy Goobers absolutely have the potential to upset in this match. But I think the talent on Powerhouse is solid. Like, their backups are solid. Like, everything's working well for them. If they have some good scrims in the past week and they can just put it together for the match on Friday, I think it just goes in favor of them.
Yeah. And for our analysts and community predictions, 100% once again goes to Powerhouse, and 85% of the community predict Powerhouse. So
Wow.
hopefully Goofy
Everyone's going
Goobers can
Power
prove
House.
us wrong. But I guess we did that actually relatively quickly. So we'll have, and I want to involve our friends here. So we'll have a discussion. Yeah, discussion.
Absolutely.
Ooh. Okay, so Acri has forced us to discuss team strengths and concerns. Ooh. So I want to
Worst.
hear both of our guests' opinions, just team by team. So we'll go ahead and start just based off of the power rankings. We'll start with Powerhouse. Personally, the biggest concern I see for that team is, are they going to take this seriously? Like, I know Peter Lee, Jason, Boreal, Rectophobia, and Stewie do have trouble taking things 100% seriously, especially Jason. So I am a little, yeah. I don't know them very well, but from just those players, they are really good. But if they get lazy and kind of just don't try as hard in scrims or try to improve, I can definitely see them getting passed by Hope's Peak, Goofy, or hell, even Axolotl, depending on how good or bad they look. I just will say, I don't think that'll happen, but there is definitely a big possibility that that could happen.
No, absolutely. I think with some of the players I do have experience with and I have seen, that's a completely fair concern. I think going into a match, not necessarily taking it seriously, and then all of a sudden you're down a map, you're down possibly 2 maps, you can all of a sudden try to turn that switch on and try to be back in it, but it might be too late. If you just kind of get bested in one map, that's the end of the game. So it's definitely a concern. I think in terms of strengths, obviously the talent, like, it's solid. They have the pieces they need to put forward great numbers, great map wins, things like that. But if they kind of come in and they're getting lazy, I know a lot of these other teams, they're going to be coming in a lot stronger, and they know that Powerhouse is that #1 seed, what kind of generally the community's kind of predicting. I think they can absolutely take some maps. So, Phone, like, do you have any insight on Powerhouse? What are you feeling about them?
I see the roster and I kind of think it's shallow. As in, if like having 9 players, like Goofy does only have 10 players, so it's not that much of a difference. But I think with Powerhouse, it's like I look at the roster and I'm just like, if 2 people like don't perform, like you obviously have those subs, but those subs are not going to have synergy with the main team. Like, so I think that like for Powerhouse to be dominant, they need all 6 guns firing. They need all 6 players in the same tempo, the same thought wave. And I think that if like 1 or 2, like, is either not taking it seriously, having an off day or whatever, like that's losing that one fight, that one round, that one map, like that can throw them. I think that has a chance to throw them off their game.
Yeah, I definitely do see that. Who would their backups be, considering like who they're starting with?
What people are saying as the starters, based on like who they drafted and when, it'd be Speed, X-Runner, Tank Line, Azalea, Boreal DPS, and Jason Mythology support. But then they have Recto for a backup DPS, Stewie 1K for a backup tank, and I'm gonna butcher this, Marquee 8 support.
Marquee. Yeah, there you got it.
I will say Jason is able to play flex support as well, or at DPS. My bad, flex support,
Yeah.
DPS, and even a little bit of tank because I have forced him to do it. But yeah, that is definitely a concern. Obviously, the strength of them is just the sheer talent of their roster. I think they have one of the better starters, but definitely things happen. They could lose someone, and the concern with the backups is definitely well warranted. Yeah, Pixel, do you have anything to say on Powerhouse?
And everything I was gonna say has already been said. So, but yeah, their strength comes to their roster. Like, their roster is insane. They just need to put it together, and they need to like not troll. They need to just like take it seriously, and they'll be the best in the league.
And then anything with the Goofy Goobers.
Yeah.
That phone guy's alright.
Hey.
Okay, well, we'll continue on to Hope's Peak. Personally, weakness-wise, shit, I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to think of something. I am a little worried about the off-tank situation there because I'm assuming Dashy is probably playing off-tank, and considering what I have seen in Pugs, he wasn't. I compared to the other off tanks, I don't know how he really stacks up against them. I think he's really good, of course, but I just don't know if he'll be good enough to not get diffed. You know, I actually. No, that's Geo. Yeah, I'm also a little worried about Flawless too. I feel like he's been a little bit out of practice. I don't really know the other main tanks that well as well, but I don't know. The tank line seems a little worrying. We'd have to see how the games go just for that.
Yeah, I think in general, it's pretty much just rewording what you said, but I'm not too concerned with the DPS or support line with Hope's Peak. I think they'll find their way, they'll manage no problem. The question mark is definitely that tank line. I hope they can perform, that they can kind of prove to us that they're absolutely capable, but it's an unknown at this point. I mean, Pixel, you might be able to help us out and kind of give us an idea of what's going on, but that's just kind of what we see right now.
I mean, I think if you were going to point out a weakness in our roster, I think it is definitely going to be the tank line. Like, they're not bad. They're actually pretty good, but they're not number one right now, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that can be rectified because our coach line is the best in the league, and it's not even that close, to be honest.
Yeah,
like a tier 2 head coach and then 2 contenders player.
Shout out to Monolith. Good Goofy Goobers coach.
No,
Jishua gonna bring out that Orisa guide for Flawless. You already know.
For real.
Yeah.
No way you get Flawless on Orisa.
Yeah, Phone, do you have anything to say on Hope's Peak?
Hope's Peak, main 2 things for me would be that kind of like the opposite powers, like maybe too many cooks in the kitchen. Like you got a lot of players, a lot of talent, all to be like, besides a few names I don't really recognize, like good at games and GT wannabe.
Oh, that's Gil.
Oh, that's Gil. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but the other one I don't know that much about.
I don't know who GT wannabe is either.
I guess they're a rookie, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this roster, there's a lot of good players and I think that a second factor that this team may have is egos. There are players here that I don't like calling up specific people, but they'll probably know who they are if I say this. That there's some people that don't want to be taken out, and there's people that have very strong egos and automatically see themselves as probably the starter of the team. And I think that there is subs on that team that are better. So I think that unless this team has more discipline in who they play and how they play, I think that they're not gonna field the best lineup they can possibly, which means that there is upset potential in that.
That high ego person could be among us at this moment.
Yes, I'm known for my very high ego.
That's
what I'm known for.
It's not Pixel. It's not Pixel.
Okay, but continuing on, I think we'll go with Axolotl here because I think I have a little bit more to say about Goofy and I want to touch on them last. So, Axolotl Syndicate, biggest glaring weakness for me right now is their supports. Kurt, Lechuga are extremely unproven, and I am quite worried about how they'll perform because Lechuga did play for a very middling powerhouse team last season, and Kurt, I don't know if he played last season. I'm gonna be honest. I want to say he didn't, but he probably played an expert without me noticing because I did not look at expert. But including their backups, Painless. Oh God, I hate being mean. I hate being mean, but man, the Reddit Lucio, he managed to hit GM, but his play style I don't think works very well with team play, and plus I think his hero pool is extremely shallow, like one or two characters he's really good at this level. I also do want to say that their DPS line is a little weird. Who's the hit scan? I forgot. Is it Glacial?
Glacial, very good hit scan. I would probably ram
Glacial is good, but I am worried about Sparrow or Asajune because although he did do well in Advanced last season, I'm not sure how he stacks up to this level of play, especially with his hero pool being a little bit smaller than the other flex DPS in the division. Yeah, but strength, Glacial's really good, and Toasty's really good. Love Toasty, love that guy. He'll ping you. Okay.
I think it is a roster with potential. Like there are some glaring weaknesses and just some uncertainties, but like they absolutely can turn it around. Like I think with the right meta, if they find kind of a bit more of a brawly meta, a bit more of a rush meta, like this team can be very good. I don't know in other regards, kind of like these double shields or even these ball sigmas we've been seeing. Not too sure where that would fit in. I've played with some of these players in these metas, and it was iffy, to say the least. I think they have their place, but it's just, I'm so unsure at this point that after this week, it'll be pretty telling where they kind of fit into this league. I'm not sure what the rest of you guys are thinking that way. But...
Yeah, they definitely have good potential, but they don't have any coaches. They don't have at least any official coaches. They probably do, but like that's worrying. At least every single team has at least one coach that they've had, announced on the roster. So unless Axolotl's doing this secret super yikes thing. Oh, actually, yeah, that makes sense. That they're just Yikes. That's the Yikes group from season 2, basically. They did, or not Yikes, Yoink. My bad. Same group still. Yikes on Horizon League, Yoink in season 2, and kind of somewhat Hangzhou Bark season 3. But they're there. They know each other. They played with each other before. I will say that's a very strong suit. A lot of the team has chemistry, but the question is, can that chemistry help them improve? Are they going to be able to improve? Because right now, they're considered last place by almost everyone. I really do hope they can claim some wins and maybe even like the top 2 seed. But just right now, no coaches. Some of their players aren't considered really the best in their categories. It just doesn't look that great for them.
I think it could be a team that could upset early.
Yeah.
If they have this pre-existing synergy, other teams that are still kind of trying to get used to each other's play style, getting used to comms, finding where they fit in that way, this team could actually take maps early, but without the coaching that at least we know of, I find it hard that synergy will carry them through the season.
Do either of our guests here have anything to say?
I mean, personally, I'm pretty high on Spiro, or Asajune, as most people know him. I think he's actually pretty damn good. So I think he could do very well in this season. You just gotta give him time.
If I'm being honest, looking on paper right now, Axolotl probably is, in my opinion, best DPS lane. Just if Spiro and Glacial are feeling good and hit their shots and whatever, they have the highest peak.
Yeah.
I think out of any DPS lane.
I think it all depends on Asajune there, honestly. If he pops off, I think their DPS line can carry a la Hangzhou Bark last season or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, on to our final team, which is Goofy Goobers. I'm gonna say weakness-wise,
This one guy sucks.
honestly, I can't say a weakness because I guess their weakness is them just generally being unknown. So there does come into question: do these people have enough experience in like a draft league? Because most of the time, draft leagues generally you get paired up with random ass people most of the time if you're coming in new. Obviously, I think Jam probably knows some of these people, so there is some prior synergy. But that means we have the League Zero veterans with Phone, Rhinos, Schleim, Viraja even. I know he played in Flux Cup a little bit ago.
Yeah, Raj doesn't play in League Zero. He played in Flux Up and Tilker, and then also Lupical is also veteran.
Yeah. So there does seem to be some of that just mixing, but I honestly most of the time it works out. Honestly, so the weakness is not that bad. For strengths though, Phone, I will say right now, I think you have the most complete hero pool out of every flex DPS. I think you can adapt a lot better than every other one. That or you're just straight up better than them. Yeah, that's really all I got.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think as well, like Viraj is also incredibly flexible.
Yeah, Viraj is really good.
Like they're like both players have like that's why the DPS line I'm really looking for in this. I know it's a bit different environment, at least I think for Phone, kind of starting to work their way up into more GM and kind of pushing on into higher 4K scrims and kind of just competition in general. But I mean, no pressure, but there's definitely a lot of responsibility for you guys to kind of push forward and prove your place here. I think you guys can absolutely do it, but it's a matter of just kind of proving to everybody else that you can do that. I think with the way current meta is looking, you guys can cover a lot of what's going on. I'm not too sure on Silent Sword's hero pool, but I know as well with Rhinos, great hit scan, has a great Hanzo as well, like incredibly mechanically gifted. So there's a lot of potential there. I think finding the right people to play at the right times, you guys can definitely punch up and be a top contender here.
Yeah, another a thing I noticed, really, all the flex DPS have dominated a division before. Like Kef and Boreal, or as he was known then, Vantage, were two of honestly the best flex DPS in Intermediate Season 2. Phone, obviously, you kind of wrecked the whole Intermediate division last season, and Sparrow or Asajin was one of the better flex DPS in Advanced last season. So like there's a lot of good flex DPS. My favorite thing honestly about them all is their hero pools. Like Kev, we know him as a tour player. Asajun, he plays a whole shit ton of Junkrat. Phone, I don't know if this is true or not, but I consider you a Pharah player. And
Phone's a junk player. Phone's absolutely a junk player.
It's been a while since I brought out the Pharah, because obviously if Pharah doesn't get played, like isn't never like really hard meta, but the junk does stuff.
The rat.
And Boreal,
rat.
the Pharah man
tires.
on the Shanghai sellouts. Ooh. Okay, well, do you guys have anything to say on Goofy Goobers?
I think, personally, I've covered what I want to talk about. I think, again, this is a team that can definitely surprise people, but we need to see it. They need to come out week 1, push hard, put up either a great match or a win against Powerhouse.
Okay, well, I think the silence means that we are done here. Phone, Pixel, thank you. Yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for this episode. So once again, I am RMM.
I am Asdo.
And
hello.
Yeah, we'll do countdown next week. We'll figure that out. We'll fix that up. It'll get better, I promise.